My name's Daniel, and I'm a college student in Portland. What happened 3 weeks ago still keeps me up at night, and I'm writing this because I need people to know how dangerous it is to ignore the warning signs. It was a Tuesday evening around 7 p.m., and I was walking home from my part-time job at the coffee shop. The street was pretty empty because it had been raining all day. That's when I saw it, a phone lying on the sidewalk near the bus stop. It was a newer iPhone, still in decent condition, just sitting there in a puddle. I picked it up and tried to turn it on. The screen was cracked, but it still worked. The battery was at 15%. I figured someone must have dropped it and would be looking for it, so I decided to check if I could find a way to contact the owner. The phone wasn't locked, which was my first clue that something was wrong. Who doesn't lock their phone these days? But I thought maybe it belonged to an older person who wasn't tech-savvy or something. I opened the Messages app to see if I could find a family member or friend to contact. That's when I saw the most recent conversation, and my blood went cold. The contact name was just M, and the last message was from 2 hours ago. It said, "It's done. Body is in the usual place. Need the rest of my money by tonight or I'm talking." I stood there on that empty street, rain starting to fall again, staring at those words. My hands were shaking. This had to be some kind of joke, right? Maybe it was from a movie script or a prank between friends. But then I scrolled up and saw more messages. The conversation went back weeks, maybe months, and every single message made my stomach turn. From M. Got the package. Where do you want me to leave it? Response. Same place as last time. Make sure nobody sees you. From M. This is the last one I'm doing. Getting too risky. Response. You'll do what I pay you for. Don't forget what I know about you. There were dozens of messages like this. Vague enough that they could be about anything, but specific enough that I knew exactly what they were talking about. This was someone hiring another person to kill people. I kept scrolling, my heart pounding so hard I could hear it in my ears. Then I found messages with addresses. Real addresses in Portland, street names I recognized, dates and times, instructions about when people would be alone, what their routines were, where they parked their cars. One message from 3 months ago said, "Target leaves for work at 7:15 a.m. every morning. Parks in the back lot where there are no cameras. Make it look like a robbery." Another from 6 weeks ago. "She walks her dog in Forest Park every Saturday morning. Always alone. Accident on the trail." I felt like I was going to throw up. These weren't just threats. These were actual plans. And if this phone belonged to the person hiring the killer, that meant these things might have already happened. My mind started racing. That guy found dead in his car back in July. They said it was a robbery. That woman who fell off a trail in Forest Park in August. A tragic accident. Were those the murders in these texts? I tried to calm down and think logically. Maybe I should just take the phone to the police. But then I saw a message that made everything worse. It was from yesterday. New job. College kid named Marcus Williams. Lives at 2847 Northeast Alberta Street, apartment 4B. Follows the same route home from campus every Tuesday and Thursday. Tomorrow night is perfect. My apartment building was on Northeast Alberta Street. I knew Marcus. He lived 2 floors below me. He was a quiet guy, always friendly, studying engineering. And today was Tuesday. I looked at the time. It was 7:23 p.m. I had no idea what time Marcus usually got home, but if these messages were real, someone was planning to kill him tonight. My hands were so sweaty I almost dropped the phone. I needed to call the police, but I also needed to warn Marcus right now. I ran the 3 blocks to my apartment building, nearly slipping on the wet pavement twice. When I got there, I pounded on Marcus's door. No answer. I kept knocking, getting more frantic. "Marcus! Marcus, open up. It's Daniel from 6B. Nothing. His lights were off. Either he wasn't home yet, or he was already gone and something had happened to him. I pressed my ear against the door, listening for any sound. Maybe he was in there, hurt, unable to answer. But there was only silence. I ran back upstairs to my apartment and called 911, my voice shaking so badly the operator had to ask me to repeat myself twice. I told her everything, about finding the phone, the messages, Marcus's address, everything. "Sir, I need you to stay calm," she said. "Officers are on their way. Do not touch anything else on that phone. Where are you right now?" "I'm in my apartment. My neighbor Marcus, the one they're planning to kill, he's not answering his door. What if something already happened to him? The officers will check on him. I need you to stay on the line with me. Can you tell me exactly what the messages said?" I started reading her some of the messages when suddenly the phone buzzed in my hand. A new message was coming in from M. "There's a new message," I told the operator. "Don't open it," she said. "Wait for the officers." But it was too late. The notification was already on the screen. I could see the preview. "I'm in position, waiting for target." My blood turned to ice. I ran to my window and looked down at the street. At first, I didn't see anything unusual. Just parked cars, empty sidewalks, the streetlights casting orange pools of light on the wet pavement. Then I saw him. A man standing across the street under a streetlight, looking up at my building. He was wearing a dark jacket and a baseball cap pulled low. He wasn't even trying to hide. He was just standing there, staring up at the windows like he was counting floors. "There's someone outside," I whispered to the operator. "He's watching the building." "Stay away from the windows," she said urgently. "Officers are 2 minutes away." But I couldn't look away. As I watched, the man pulled out a phone and started typing. A few seconds later, the phone in my hand buzzed again. Another message from M. "Someone has your phone. They're in the building. What do you want me to do?" Then a response from the owner's number, but not from this phone. From another device. "Find out who has it. Get it back. Do whatever you need to do." They knew. They knew someone had found the phone and read the messages, and now they were trying to figure out who I was. I watched the man under the streetlight look at his phone, then back up at my building. He started walking toward the entrance. "He's coming inside," I told the operator. "He's coming into my building. Lock your door. Don't open it for anyone except the police. They're 1 minute away." I ran to my door and turned the deadbolt, then dragged a chair over and wedged it under the handle. My apartment suddenly felt tiny and exposed. I could hear footsteps in the hallway below. He was checking doors, probably listening for any sound that would tell him where I was. The phone buzzed again. Another message. "Which apartment are you in, Daniel? We can work this out. Just give me the phone and forget what you saw." He knew my name. How did he know my name? Then I remembered. The mailboxes downstairs. All the apartments have names listed. He must have seen the light on in my window and cross-referenced it with the mailbox labels. The footsteps were getting closer. They'd reached my floor. I heard sirens in the distance, getting closer. The man under the streetlight looked toward the sound, then back at my window. Another message. "This isn't over. I know where you live now." Then he was gone, disappearing into the shadows between buildings. I looked down at the street from my window and saw Marcus walking down the sidewalk toward our building, headphones in, completely unaware of what had almost happened to him. "Marcus is here," I shouted to the operator. "He's walking toward the building right now." "Stay on the line." Officers are pulling up now. 2 police cars came around the corner, lights flashing, no sirens. They pulled up right in front of Marcus, and officers jumped out. Marcus looked confused and scared, backing away with his hands up. I ran downstairs as fast as I could. By the time I got outside, the officers were talking to Marcus, and one of them was scanning the area with a flashlight. "I'm Daniel," I said, breathing hard. "I'm the one who called. I have the phone." The officer took the phone from me carefully, holding it by the edges. "You said someone was watching you from across the street?" "Yes, under that streetlight. He was texting me, threatening me. He knew my name, knew which apartment I was in. The officers searched the area, but found no one. They took statements from both me and Marcus, who was completely shocked to learn that someone had been planning to kill him that night. "We're taking this very seriously," the detective said. "We're going to need you to come to the station and give a full statement, both of you." The next few hours at the police station were intense. They had me go through every message on the phone while they documented everything. The detective explained that they were already starting to track down the phone's owner through the carrier information and account details. "This is a major case," he said. "If what you found is real, we're looking at a murder-for-hire operation. The phone's owner, whoever he is, made a critical mistake by not locking his phone and by having all these conversations in plain text." They also showed me mugshots, trying to see if I could identify the man I'd seen under the streetlight, but none of them looked right. 3 days later, the detective called me. They'd arrested 2 men, David Reeves, a wealthy businessman who owned the phone, and Michael Chen, the hitman known in the messages as M. David Reeves had been at a business dinner when he realized his phone was missing. He'd gone back to retrace his steps, and that's when he saw on his Find My Phone app that it was in my apartment building. He'd driven there immediately and started texting from his backup phone, trying to figure out who had it. When he realized someone had read all his messages, he panicked and tried to intimidate me into destroying the phone or running away. But his texts only gave the police more evidence against him. Michael Chen was arrested trying to flee the city. He'd been waiting in a car near our building, watching for Marcus, when the police arrived. He ran, but didn't get far. The investigation revealed everything. David Reeves had been hiring Michael Chen to kill people for over 2 years. Business rivals, people who owed him money, a former employee who threatened to expose his illegal business practices, even an ex-girlfriend. 4 people dead, all made to look like accidents or robberies. The first victim was Thomas Garrett, a business partner who'd discovered Reeves was embezzling. His death in that parking lot wasn't random. Chen staged it perfectly to look like a mugging. The second victim was Jennifer Shu, Reeves's ex-girlfriend who'd found evidence of his crimes. Chen pushed her off that Forest Park trail and made it look like an accident. The third was Ramon Silva, a construction worker who witnessed Reeves bribing a city inspector. His fall from scaffolding was no accident. The fourth was Amy Chen, a journalist investigating corruption in Portland real estate. Her car didn't accidentally go off that bridge. Marcus would have been number 5. He was the son of a city councilman who had been pushing for regulations that would have cost Reeves millions in his real estate business. Killing Marcus was supposed to send a message and distract the councilman. They found all 4 bodies based on the locations mentioned in the text messages. The usual place was an abandoned warehouse on the waterfront. The police said it was one of the most disturbing crime scenes they'd worked in years. The trial was 6 weeks ago. Both Reeves and Chen got life in prison without parole. Marcus and I are good friends now. He says I saved his life, and honestly, I guess I did. But I still have nightmares about it. About the man standing under the streetlight, waving at me. About how close we both came to dying that night. If you ever find something suspicious, don't ignore it. Trust your instincts. Those messages terrified me, but they also gave us the evidence we needed to stop 2 murderers and give 4 families the answers they deserved.